right, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at the review packet for the quadrilateral and logical test. We are taking that in two parts. First part's tomorrow, second part's on Friday. Tomorrow we're going to do the whole mirror compass patty paper, and then one page that's like the properties of quadrilateral, and then one page that's like the proofs of quadrilaterals. Okay, and then on Friday it'll be some multiple choice, just some basic stuff about quadrilaterals and logic, and then it'll be a couple things where it's like you have to do the converse, inverse, contrapositive, biconditional, that kind of thing. Okay, so let's start out. This is talking about if-then statements. If apple pies taste the best, then they're made with fresh apples, or then they have fresh apples, either way. Number two, if it's, I forgot the T. If it's not Sunday, then we are in school. 4, if, 3 should be B. The converse is true, therefore you can make a biconditional statement of it. 4, if x does not equal -4, then x squared does not equal 16. Inverse, if x squared does not equal 16, then x does not equal -4.
Wait, can you,
Is there anything you want me to repeat 1 through 5 before I move on? Just get out of the way. Can you take a class? All right, we're going to move on to 6. All right, 6, the converse. If x equals 4, then x squared equals 16. If x equals 4, then x squared equals 16. Yes. If x equals -4, then x squared equals 16. Thank you. Number 7, if you are a man, then you are Homo sapien. And we have the conditional statement, if you are Homo sapien, then you are a man. What's a converse of, or a counter example of it? You could be a girl. So don't make a biconditional statement of that, because you could be a girl. What shape is 8? Nobody knows? I've got the answer on the board. And number 9 is a kite. Good. Is it true that all parallelograms are rhombuses? No. Right? Because if they don't all have the same length, all sides don't have the same length, it's not true. The diagonals of a oh wow, I cannot talk today, guys. The diagonals of a parallelogram always bisect. They're always cut in half. All right. 12. Which type of quadrilateral has no parallel sides? That would be a kite. If all 4 sides of a quadrilateral are congruent, the quadrilateral is a square or a rhombus. What is the difference between inductive and deductive? A lot of people forgot this. Inductive is based on patterns, and deductive is based on knowledge known to be true. Okay, so now we're going to look at patty paper, compass, and mirror. Okay, so first we're going to construct a rectangle on patty paper. So the first thing we do is we draw a straight line with a straight edge. Then we fold the paper over, making sure that the sides line up. That way we know that we've made it parallel. And then I'm going to just trace it. Okay? So now I have 2 parallel sides. Then I'm going to make a side perpendicular. I know that it's perpendicular if it meets this perfectly, if when I fold it over it makes that right angle. Okay, and then I'm just going to fold that over so that I can make the last side parallel. And I have a rectangle. All right, so I have the 3 folds. I folded it in half. I folded it over. And then I folded it one more time to make sure I could do it parallel. Okay. Compass. We're going to construct a square using a compass. The first thing we do is take a straight edge and draw a straight line. I know squares have 4 right angles, so I'm going to make a perpendicular line. First thing I do is put my compass on its endpoint, and I make it so it's not quite the whole length. Okay, and then I make an arc. This compass is yucky. Hold on, let me grab a different compass. This is good. Okay, so I make a nice arc. Then without changing the size of my compass, I switch it to the other endpoint, and I make an arc. And where these 2 arcs intersect, that's where I'm going to draw my line. And I now know that it's perpendicular. Okay, so now I'm going to use this intersection as an endpoint, and this is an endpoint. I'm going to go not quite the whole length, and I'm going to draw an arc. I'm going to not change the distance. I'm going to draw another arc. And I'm going to make another line that goes through it, so I know it's perpendicular. Then I'm just going to use my compass, find the length between these 2 sides, and make a mark right here, so I know it goes up that far. Make a mark right here. And then I'm going to connect them so that I know all 4 sides are the same length. And I've got my square. Next, I'm going to use the mirror to draw a kite. I'm going to use the mirror to draw a kite. So I've got to have, I'm going to make a obtuse angle. And then I'm simply going to put my mirror over it so that when I look through, I can see the angle, and then I just trace it. And I've got my kite. That's it. Okay. So I sketched it. You can do it. I'm going to give you guys graph paper tomorrow. When you do this, it'll be a whole sheet of graph paper, so you can do it 6 times if you want. But I just sketched it. That's a really bad sketch. But what you'll notice is that AB and CD are the same length. BC and DA are the same length. The slopes from they're both, AB is the square root of 34 or 5.83 or something like that, 5.8. BC is 11.6, or would you guys get 10.8? Okay. All right. The slopes for C, A to B is -3/5. B to C is -5 halves. C to D is 3 over -5. And D to A is -5 halves. So we know A, B, and CD are parallel. B, C, and D, A are parallel, but nothing is perpendicular. Okay. D, I got that the slope of AC was -13/9. The slope of BD was 7 over -1. The length was the square root of 250. The length of BD was the square root of 50. So the lengths of the diagonals are not the same, and they're not perpendicular. Okay. Then we found the midpoints are the same. AC is 13 halves and 5 halves. BD is 13 halves and 15 halves. I know it's a parallelogram because opposite sides are congruent and parallel, and diagonals are bisectors. Okay. Last page. All right, it was supposed to say square all the way down. I'm sorry that it's a rectangle part of the way. That was a typo. Okay, so I made my square 0, 0, A, 0, 0A, and AA. Okay, I found the length from A to B was A, B to C was A, C to D was A, and D to A was A. I wanted them, you could use a different letter. You just wanted all 4 sides to be the same length, right? Just a single letter. The slope from A to B was 0. B to C was undefined, C to D was 0, and D to A was undefined. And we know the opposite reciprocal of 0 is undefined. So we've got two slopes the same, so that means they're parallel. 0 and 0, undefined and undefined. Two sets of sides are parallel. And the ones next to each other are opposite reciprocals, so they make 90 degrees. So we know that has to be a square. Okay. For C, I found that the diagonals of the square are congruent. They're 2a squared, the square root of 2a squared. And then for D, I found that they are perpendicular. The bisectors are perpendicular because it is a square. AC is 1, DB is -1. Any questions that you want me to go back over that you don't understand? Your test is going to look just like this, but it's in two parts. So it would be like you have 20, numbers 20, 19, 16, 17, and 18 will be tomorrow. Okay? Problems 1 through 14 will look like Friday. Okay? You've got the rest of the hour to look through this and study. If you didn't finish, you should finish now. Okay? It'll look just like this. I'm going to tell you right now that the shape that you're going to have to use to do the compass, mirror, and patty paper is not the same one as this. So if you want to go over right now, like grab a compass, try to make all 6 different shapes, I would do that. That would be a good plan, or the mirror or the patty paper.
We're not making a square.
We're not making a square. I'll tell you right now that you're not making a square with a compass. You might make it with a different shape. You might make it with a mirror or patty paper.